Welcome to episode 4 of the Brune by Sid podcast. Today we are with a chocolatier and not a real estate influencer. The two words I can hint you with who I'm with today is Dubai and chocolate. So that's pretty self-explanatory. I have a guest with me today, Ashwin, the co-founder of Voca and the Big Daddy. Hi Ashwin, how's it going?
Hi, Sid. Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Pleasure's all mine.
Before we go into business and into the nitty-gritty, I want to learn a bit more about you. People might have seen you on Instagram, or people might have bought your products, because I can guarantee that at least 80% of everybody who's watching has bought a Big Daddy product. So what is the Big Daddy?
The Big Daddy is a brainchild of Voca and, of course, our amazing partners at Noon as well. When, of course, the whole virality of the Dubai chocolate went crazy, some of the thoughts in our mind was how to make this more accessible.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a great product, but we had challenges in terms of pricing. We had challenges in terms of distribution. So the whole goal was to make it, fairly priced and, of course, get into the masses, especially in the people of Dubai.
Yeah.
And that's when this idea struck. And then, we joined two forces. Of course, I take pride in the products we make in terms of the quality and, of course, the flavors. And, of course, Noon being an amazing distribution channel, when two forces came together, thus came out the Big Daddy.
Just one quick question, which is completely off topic. How do you come up with your flavors? Because they're the most uniquely tasty flavors I've ever had. Like saffron, kunafa, where do these ideas come from? Do you have like a special think tank on these chocolate ideas?
So the thing is, we be absolutely childish while curating flavors. We are letting go of our inhibitions while we come up with flavors. We don't think about how we get to make them. That's the chef's part. That's where our chefs come into place. But we let these ideas flow absolutely freely. So that's how we came up with the Parle G Biscoff. Or even, one of my partners, his favorite was the plum cake. So we were like, okay, let's stuff a chocolate with plum cake. So even right now with Ramadan, we've come out some very interesting flavors, which we really love. And the thing is, it's not just about the novelty factor. It's also trying to make it actually good, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my team shines. But I think the most important thing is be as childish as possible and let ideas flow.
Wow, that's fantastic. And before we go to the Noon part, before that even happened, how did you start? I believe from your Instagram, you were unemployed for a while. You had to go back to India and you came back to Dubai. Tell me a bit more of everything that happened.
Yeah, wow, just taking a trip down memory lane. So I was born and raised here. So this is practically home to me. And because of that, after I did my education, I got a degree in architecture, got back. I worked as an architect, got a couple of projects greenlit here, the ones that I designed. Yeah. So,
Architect.
Yeah. We have a building or two in Dubai that I played a key role in.
Architect to chocolatier.
Yes,
that's
exactly. Yeah. So, and then what happened was, sooner or later, things were not looking quite good for the company I was working in, even though it was a great corporate company. But what happened was that they laid me off. And then, out of necessity, I had to leave the country because we have a process here, post your notice period, you have a couple of grace period and all of that. And then you have to exit the country. And, that was like a punch in your gut. Leaving the country you were born and raised in, that you kind of call it as home. And then when I came back, I came back as I felt more of an immigrant at that point, when I had to come back on a visa and things like that. Anyways, not to make it too dramatic, out of necessity, we could not get any other job. So me and my partner, who's also a cousin of mine, we joined forces. So I used to do a lot of creative stuff, the creative cell in me was still active, did a lot of freelancing, he did a lot of photography, I handled the creative side of things, and thus we formed a union, we formed a small agency. But that agency also during the pandemic started, struggling because even though marketing was on the rise during the pandemic, it became highly competitive. People were looking on ways on how to cut down cost.
100%.
They were outsourcing jobs in India.
Yeah.
They were looking at other options. So then we knew that, the service industry, which was the marketing industry in itself, was getting highly competitive. And we thought it's time to kind of diversify and curate a product. A product has its value, and it becomes easier to sell also. It's more tangible as opposed to a service. So thus came the idea of chocolates. Again, I was completely thrown into the world of chocolates
Yeah.
because we had a requirement for chocolates. Someone wanted to give chocolates, but they didn't want the usual legacy brands in the
Yeah.
market. They wanted something new. And me and my partner were on the hunt for a brand like that, but we couldn't find something that kind of tickled our fancy, so to speak. A dear friend of mine, who's also one of the head of pastry chefs in Address Hotels,
Wow.
at that time, he kind of sat us down and told that, this is actually not rocket science, but if you do create something good, there is a space here because UAE has immense gifting culture. Everyone's got a sweet tooth here. So he helped initially to curate something.
Wow.
We found a small time manufacturer. We gave the manufacturer the recipe, we gave the raw materials, the ingredients, they made for us. We found a little bit of success when we gave it as samples to our customers.
Okay.
It kind of snowballed into six-figure orders in a span of
Six-figure?
in a span of 4 to 5 months. We were taken aback. We were like, what just happened? This was primarily for the gifting aspect,
Yeah.
right? For corporates. So we took our time. We thought that, okay, there is potential here. We built a brand, we built a story, we did all the collaterals and things like that. Slowly after a year, what happened was the manufacturer we were working with really started giving a shit. So they dropped the ball on us. They started missing deadlines.
Oh my God.
They dropped the quality. And we really didn't want to be in that place.
Yeah.
This is not what we had envisioned for the brand. And we decided, this is it. I think this is the time where we set up our own space. We set up
Yeah.
our own kitchen. And 2021 is when we officially set up our own first space and started making things completely in-house.
In-house, by that, do you mean a warehouse or actually in your house?
Not in my house, but we took up a small space. Beg, borrow, steal all the money we could. And then we found a small space in Ajman. And that began operations from there.
So 2021 to 2025 now.
Yeah.
In 4 years, I think there's been a drastic change in especially the trends and the way the company has gone.
Absolutely.
So you guys started by initially having a concept of gifting chocolates, right?
Yeah.
And now you were able to capitalize on the trend of Dubai chocolate.
Yeah.
And you've gone boom. What would you say between 2021 and 2025 was the biggest time and you saw growth, and why? What was that one change you made, or the multiple changes you made which you believe help you see so much growth in a standpoint of business?
I don't think of it in a way that we found growth only in that particular year. Every year there was definitely a cumulative growth that we saw, primarily because we were very flexible. We were very adaptive to whatever was happening in the market. We were very open to new ideas. We used to innovate a hell lot even back then. But of course, we were young, we were small. We didn't have the budgets to put it out there. And, so a lot of people didn't know about it back then. But our customers who worked with us back then, we're very happy to say that they're still our customers.
That's amazing.
Right? So regardless of who has come in the market and who's not, it's primarily because they understood our quality of products back then, and even right now, so to speak. I would say that definitely, like every year, we had a turning point. Last year was also one of our biggest turning points, primarily because we started putting ourselves out there more, be it myself on social media, be it the brand telling that, we are doing so and so, be it making the product more accessible through channels like Noon. People had an opportunity to try our products, putting a face to the brand also helped because now they had someone to be accountable for. So I think it's a cumulative effort that happened across channels that came together. And, again, I'm not saying we found success. Definitely, this is so much early on. But I feel that, we are in the right path, and yeah.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned that you are selling your products with Noon, which is something I don't think the ordinary human could do. I mean, being partnered with Noon, one of the biggest companies in Dubai.
Yeah.
How did that happen? I mean, like, that's unimaginable to date. What happened?
It's like I said, it's more about the effort and the pain you are willing to take.
Okay.
I'm sure they must have spoken to other people as well. But, we're very quick on doing something new. We're
Yeah.
very quick on getting out new flavors. We're very quick on making things happen. We don't waste time just thinking. We don't waste time on pondering on ideas. We just execute, and which I think is the most important aspect. Execution is the most important aspect.
Okay.
You can have 100 ideas, but that wouldn't mean jack if it's not executed well.
Exactly.
So even if we have the smallest of idea, the main goal for us is to put it out there, and let's get the response rather than just thinking 100 times of it'll happen or not. So even with our partners, when there was a requirement or when we had to cater to a specific need, we were quick to adapt to it and we delivered. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are still sticking to each other for this while.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with Noon, one other big brand that you guys have been working with is Emirates.
Yeah.
Which is even more unbelievable than Noon. How did Emirates happen?
I mean, I'll probably have to kill you if I say that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, the thing is, it's all about relationships,
Okay.
right? Vasta, as people say here in the region. But I consider myself very lucky at every stage. Of course, we do work hard, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be at the right place at the right time. And we happen to be there at the
Yeah.
right time. And I wouldn't say it was easy. I would say it was persistence of an entire year that paid off one day.
Okay.
We were in touch with them back to back, back to back, back to back. And then every time they reached out, we were happy to give them something, in
Yeah.
terms of a sample or a price or whatever, even though things didn't fall through. We were persistent, we were bloody persistent, and it just came through one day, and we're just so glad it did. And I think it was one of the biggest feather in our caps.
That's true.
Yeah.
100%. And with the 4 years that I'm sorry, I feel like I'm spitting questions at you.
No problem.
But it's gonna be great. With the 4 years that you have been operating Voca,
Yeah.
what's the biggest hurdle you guys had faced, or the biggest challenge you guys had faced throughout that journey?
The biggest challenge we have had to face is keeping up with the demand. Is what I would say. There's so much demand out there.
Yeah.
Our dreams are bigger than our it's not logical sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel that we sometimes dream so big that we ourselves might not be able to make it.
Yeah.
Be it me or my partners. So, our goals and aspirations are so big that we find it hard to kind of be logical and make it happen.
Yeah.
I feel that our team has been working so hard, relentlessly, to make sure that the products are out there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we also make sure that we don't overwork them. We don't take them for granted.
Yeah.
So trying to balance these two are the biggest challenges we have right now. But of course, when we started off, the biggest challenge was making sure everyone was paid on time,
Okay.
making sure everyone's salaries were paid, because these are families that's relying on
Yeah.
us. Right? Even if we don't take a buck home, we make sure they're fed.
100%.
But we're glad to say that, okay, we kind of past that right now. But right now, it's all about scaling. We have an opportunity, we have a wave we're riding on,
Yeah.
and we want to capitalize on that as much as possible. So we're trying to scale. I wouldn't say quick. Of course, every step we are
Yeah.
making, we are being smart about it, but we don't want to stop. And we hope that everyone around us can keep up with us.
Wow. And when you started being able to pay your employees first and pay yourself last, was that journey hard?
100%, 100%. And I think this is something that every entrepreneur will go through. And if they don't, I believe they should, because that actually puts things into perspective. We are completely bootstrapped.
Yeah.
We didn't seek out any investments, or we didn't actually raise any capital
Yeah.
of anything of sorts. Like I said, it was our friends and families and ourselves that kind of pulled into it. So we understand the value of every dirham. So we understand that, we don't have big budgets. So we knew how to make things happen even with the smallest of budgets, right? Sometimes what happens is that you raise so much cash, you take the money for granted because it's not yours, and
Yeah.
you burn right through it, right?
And then you're
Yeah, exactly.
in
And
a
then
bad
you're,
situation.
exactly. So we're glad that we took this route.
Yeah.
But of course, we are so fortunate enough to be backed by our friends and families. Even when we couldn't take anything back home, we
Wow.
had our support. Our support systems, be it our family, our parents, or our wives, or whoever it is. They've been so gracious enough to kind of blindly support us. And I think that's one of the reasons that we are sitting here.
With the entrepreneurial spirit which you have, I believe you started around in just 2020 where it really had started compounding.
Yeah.
What was your background like? You mentioned you did study into engineering,
Yeah.
architecture. Sorry.
Architecture. Yeah.
Did you have any background when you were a child? Because as you're brought up in Dubai, I'm brought up
Yeah.
in Dubai too. We pretty much understand becoming an entrepreneur here young is not easy.
Yeah.
What was your childhood like, which had pushed you to become an entrepreneur?
Like I said, it was out of a necessity.
of necessity.
I had applied for jobs. Maybe if someone had hired me back then, I wouldn't be sitting here chatting with Sid.
Yeah.
But nobody hired me. And then I had to kind of fend for myself and look for jobs, freelance, to make some money, right? At
Yeah.
the end of the day, you have to survive. And that's how, I became an entrepreneur. It sounds so fancy right now, but back then it was just a job.
Yeah, I guess going home to home and doing whatever you needed to make it work.
Exactly. We're just hustling. It's basically sales. Everything we do was a cumulative effect of sales. So that was all it was back then. Right now, you can say it's an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
But back then, for me, it was just making a buck to
Pay the bills.
Yeah, that's all.
And with all the demand you said you're having with scaling right now, how, if you can ask, and if I won't be killed if I ask this, how many chocolate kunafa bars or, on that sector are you producing every single month?
Every single month?
Tens of thousands?
Oh, easily.
Hundreds of thousands?
Maybe. I don't want to give out
An
a
exact
specific number, but yeah, you could say hundreds of thousands.
Every single month?
Yeah, easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an unimaginable number.
Yeah. Again, it's I'm fortunate to be in the space at this right time. Like I said, being there at the right time at the right place is also important. But I'm even more happy that we have an amazing team. We have a super amazing team that brings our dream to a reality. Like I said, even with the innovation, we come out with some stupid flavors like pistachio man chips, and they bring it to fruition.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, we have so much demand, and they work relentlessly to make sure that the products and the demand is met. So we're just fortunate that Voca in a brand is just not me or my partner. It's just the entire team of about 40-45 people.
I don't think many business owners in Dubai, I shouldn't, but I do because I have my family business and everything. But staff in Dubai, you need to trust them with everything. Because
100%.
once you're successful, you will have people coming to your staff. Can I have you? I'll give you a bigger salary.
Yeah.
And if you don't treat your staff well, they can go
100%.
in an instant.
100%.
And then you're in what situation?
Yeah.
So I think staff in Dubai need to be kept in a very, very, very pristine shape. Otherwise, you will be put in the bad situation instead of them. Like karma, but it actually happens.
Yeah. And our core chefs, our core team who was there from day one are still with us.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
That's fantastic.
Okay, I wouldn't say all, but I would say about 99% of them are there.
That's fantastic.
Right? And these are the people that we would want with us as well. And I believe that is a testament to kind of how we are treating them. I hope we are treating them right. I don't want them to watch this podcast and be like, no, Ashwin is an ass. But no, but we really, take the time to talk to every one of them, make sure that, all their problems, concerns are addressed. So we hope you're treating them right. And I think that's, like I said, I came, or me, our parents, we're all from the middle class background. We were also the working class. So we, of course, put ourselves in each other's shoes.
Yeah.
Would I want to be treated like that? So that's the biggest difference.
Wow. And with you providing so many products, especially in the pistachio kunafa, those type of chocolate bars in the trend, what's the margins on something like that? I mean, you sell it 1 through noon minutes, 1 through noon food, one as Voca, one in Silicon Oasis in the
Retail, yeah.
Yeah, retail area. What's the margins on something like this from cost to cost? So you might not know the exact number because it's it goes quite in depth,
Sure.
but to your rent, to your this, to your that. I mean, how is it possible to have good cash flow and to stay profitable?
The thing is, chocolates and coffee are two categories that tend to have decent margins.
Okay.
All right, as a raw material. So I would say, just like any other food segment, 30 to 40% is a good margin. Of course, when you work with third-party aggregators, there is a chunk that needs to be given to them. But apart from that, like I said, because the product in itself has a good margin, we're able to survive. That being said, these products have good margin. Why? Because their prices keep fluctuating in the stock market. Like coffee and
Yeah.
chocolate have been seeing a huge surge in prices.
Cacao pods have been very
Exactly.
bad because of the bad harvest, I think,
Exactly.
last year.
Same with with coffee as well. So what happens is that because these things are very volatile, we need to keep that room
Okay.
to play around with, right? I can't come back to you every other week saying that,
Yeah.
you know what, so today's 20, tomorrow's 25,
Yeah.
day after 30. So I need to make sure that I keep margin so that I am able to take the hit, right? End of the day. Some months are very good while some
Yeah.
months are very bad. Like December, November, it went through the roof. It was 50% more expensive.
50%.
Yeah. And these are things that, like I said, we can't tell the consumer, you know, because the consumer has a lot of choices.
100%.
You either take the hit or you find alternatives.
Yeah.
So we keep a decent wiggle room there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the goal right now is to make sure our products reach in everyone's hands.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, there are other products where we might be able to make a better margin out of. So right now, chocolate bars is in, and you know, people are being welcoming about that.
Yeah.
So we're doubling down on that. We don't want to be greedy and price it
Too high.
too high, and
Like
you know,
competitors.
exactly.
No name.
But of course, at the same time, this is fairly priced.
Yeah.
You know.
It's very fairly. I think
Yeah.
even if I go to Carrefour, they have their off-brand chocolates. That's like 33 dirhams.
Yeah.
If I order off noon, I won't have to leave my chair. I can sit
Exactly.
on my couch. I can watch my movie, and it's going to be there in 13 minutes. I mean,
Yes, yes.
it's so easy for me to order something off noon minutes, which one shows that Dubai itself is like
Exactly,
amazing.
right? And I think that's the kind of energy that feeds off, you know, on us. Like that kind of growth perspective. Dubai is constantly changing and
100%.
evolving. So if we stick to our old traditional ways, there's no way in chance that we'll adapt.
I mean, Dubai is supporting its investors very, very well, and businesses like you are helping Dubai
Yeah.
with getting an increased amount of population. You know,
Yeah.
helping us out,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is really fantastic. So when you do, supply your goods, what is your most profitable item? Maybe it doesn't have to be kunafa chocolate bars. Maybe it could be your dates. I mean, you have a variety of products on the market, right?
I think the most profitable item would be, let's say, a hot chocolate. You know, beverages tend to be the most profitable. Like when we have events, our
Yeah.
main product tends to be beverages.
Okay.
Hot chocolates work well. We have these strawberry coated in chocolate that
Yeah.
also is
That's a fan favorite, I imagine.
exactly.
I love that too
yeah.
personally.
That also does quite well for us. So these two are our core products that does quite well. Amongst the other ones, we keep it all fairly priced,
Yeah.
similar margins. You know, we don't kind of skyrocket anything
Yeah.
else. So it's more or less we make the same kind of margin from everything else. That being said, we are diversifying slowly. We're moving into the pastries and cake segment of things. Hopefully, ice creams as well.
Amazing.
So all of them made in house.
Okay.
So that's the goal, you know.
With that, I imagine you guys are gonna have a bigger storefront. Hopefully, something coming soon.
Absolutely. And just not a bigger storefront. We're creating multiple concepts, like how Boca is synonymous to chocolates.
Yeah.
We'll have other brands that'll be synonymous to cakes and pastries, for ice cream. So it's about not putting all your eggs in one basket,
But
you know.
diversifying your
Exactly.
eggs.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And on that note, on your Instagram, during Valentine's Day, where I imagine Boca was busy,
Yeah.
you were out there yourself,
Yeah.
going from up and down, delivering goods in bulk. I mean, I've never seen or heard one founder do that when they're at your level and their time is so expensive. I mean, why? I'm not trying to offend you, but why would you do that?
Why would I do that? I don't want to lose my clients. I mean, I'm nothing with my customers,
Yeah.
right? So, of course, Valentine's is a very busy time for us. Not for us, for anyone within this field. And what happens is that you run out of drivers. You know, you're short of drivers. Of course, we had our own captains running around delivering.
Yeah.
But we had a batch.
Of
We
bulk
couldn't
orders.
find anyone else. So, and this is, it might be new to others, but I've been doing this since inception, you know, when we
Okay.
started off delivering items. So it's not anything new to me. But of course, end of the day, if my customers are not happy, you know, it doesn't matter if you're the one delivering or if you're the driver, if you're the boss. I can just claim around in my fancy ass office saying that, you know what, I'm a co-founder. But you know, end of the day, you need to get shit done.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how. So that's all it. I mean, for me, it's just getting from product A to product B, making sure my customer's happy and they got what they paid for.
Wow.
Yeah.
And with the new flavors that you have, like what's the process to make such a chocolate? I mean, where do you source everything from? How long does it take to make it? What ingredients do you use? I mean, especially when making saffron, how do you keep your margins so good, especially since saffron is so expensive?
Yeah. All right. So speaking with regards to the raw materials, we use Swiss and Belgian chocolates.
it.
Yeah. So it's quality, real ingredient stuff. We don't put any additives in, no preservatives, nothing of that sorts. In terms of saffron, of course, we use only a very minute element of saffron because saffron is very pungent. It's very strong.
Yeah, I mean,
So
every bite I took of that chocolate,
Exactly.
I could taste it.
Yeah.
And in a strong taste
exactly.
too.
So that itself is strong, and so of course we are very wary of how much we put in. But like I said, be it a red velvet, be it a pistachio Oman chips, be it a Parle G Biscoff, our team goes through intensive R&D.
Okay.
We do a lot of sampling, a lot of tasting, a lot of testing to make sure it's the right fit. So even though we are able to do it so quickly, it's primarily because we are always on it. So every week we have a tasting session, or every 3 days
Every 3 days?
yeah, I really can't have chocolates anymore. For me, chocolate is work right now. So I try to refrain from eating chocolates. But that's the thing. I can't sell a product that I've not tasted myself.
100%.
Right? If I don't believe in it, I can't put it out.
And out of all of the innovative ideas of chocolates you've made, what would you say is in the top 3 worst tasting chocolates that you've innovated?
What I've innovated, I mean, I've pretty much loved everything that we have made,
Everything.
almost everything.
What's the 1%?
All right, so this might be a conflict, but I'm not a big fan of plum cake, so that wasn't my favorite.
That's fair.
That's
Neither
fair.
am I.
Exactly.
I'm not a cake
Yeah,
fan.
but at the end of the day, we use our chocolate, so that chocolate kind of complements the flavors that we come out with. So that was one of the thing, and yeah, I mean, we're yet to find out a flavor that we don't like.
Yeah.
It's like asking who's your favorite child. Deep down, you might have one child
Yeah.
you don't like so much, but end of the day, they're your
You have to
children.
say they are
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. And what's your favorite chocolate out of the collection?
The favorite is, I would say, the red velvet is one of my favorites, and the Parle G Biscoff is also quite lovely.
All of the chocolates you're saying I've never tried.
Really, don't worry. I've got your goodie bag. You
Thank
better
you.
try them out.
I've tried the pistachio kunafa
Yeah.
original,
Yeah.
the normal chocolate one,
Yeah.
the Nutella one. Oh my god, the Nutella one is my favorite.
All right.
I would say, and I've tried the saffron one.
All
I
right.
think out of those, Nutella tastes
I know.
amazing.
Nutella is also quite good. Yeah.
It has that sweet. It gives you that sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Like, and
A lot of people like the Nutella better than the pistachio itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah.
And what do you do to make it feel like you can't stop eating it? Like I put it in the fridge, I go back, and I think maybe 10 times a day I'm in and out.
It's just the quality of product we use. The chocolates you get in the supermarkets or your other shopping centers, those are what you call as compound chocolate.
Okay.
And what we use is real chocolate. So just to give you a quick lesson on chocolates, there are 2 types of chocolates, compound and real.
Okay.
Compound chocolate is made with palm oils and vegetable fats.
Okay.
Real chocolate is real ingredients. It's cocoa butter, cocoa mass, milk, and sugar, right? And that's why for this cheaper chocolate, there's a taste of oiliness. And real chocolates melt at body temperature. That's why the moment
Okay.
you put in your mouth, it kind of melts. So
Okay. We might have to bleep this out.
Sure.
But what's an example of a compound chocolate? We'll have to bleep. We'll have to bleep this.
probably your favorite chocolate you must have eaten as a kid. Yes.
No.
Your the ones that start with that looks all of that.
No.
So all of these, because see, I mean, when you think about it, how are they able to sell it for 1 dirham and at a mass level? So of
Yeah.
course you have to cut corners, and that is why real chocolates are substantially more, priced.
And with you riding off this, kunafa, pistachio kunafa craze, it's a wave, and eventually a wave does die
Yeah.
down. How do you plan on continuing once it dies down? Because, I mean, if I may ask, before the pistachio kanafa craze came,
Yeah.
and after,
Yeah.
what was the company growth like? I mean, imagine it was like this, and then
Yeah.
up there,
Yeah.
it went.
That's a very valid question. So the thing is, uh, we started off as a B2B
Only
company.
B2B.
We started off as only B2B. Why? Because B2C is a very expensive business. You need to have shops in the fanciest malls. You need to have a big spend marketing budget for ad spends. You need to you need to have a marketing team that's completely on at all times. So these are things that we could not afford. And like I said, we're completely bootstrapped.
Yeah.
Having B2B means we had bigger contracts, bigger invoice values, bigger quantity we were able to push, right? But the goal was always to be a B2C brand.
Okay.
So last year onwards, we made the conscious decision to push more on a B2C level.
And was that with Noon?
No,
Or just a little bit before Noon?
Before
Okay.
that. But the good thing is, sometimes good things happen together.
Yeah.
And that kind of our plan and the whole demand kind of coincided together. And of course, getting the right channel partner also helped push more units. Now, how are we different, or what do we do in order to sustain this? That is why we're always coming out with new things. We're never going to stop innovating. As a company, that is one of our biggest goals, to never stop innovation. We could have just kept doing only that particular flavor, but instead, every 3 months or every 4 months, for every season, we are bringing out 5 to 6 flavors
every season.
every season. You look at, we probably have about 40 flavors, 35 40 flavors of chocolate bars.
Wow.
Of different varieties, out of which I'm sure only the ones that are active, probably only half of that.
Okay.
So what we do is we launch about 3 to 4 seasonal flavors, and after the season we see what worked best, and that
Okay.
becomes a permanent flavor, and we eliminate the rest.
So you eliminate flavors. I did not know that you guys are testing.
Yeah. So let's say for Diwali, that's when we launched the Parle-G Biscoff.
Okay.
We launched the cashew caramel. We did the saffron pistachio. And we found out that the saffron pistachio did decent. We found out the Parle-G Biscoff was a fan favorite. We kept those two.
Okay.
We eliminated the
Everything
cashew
else.
caramel. Yeah. So every season we do that. And do you know how much of a pain that is to bring out new flavors and do packaging and design and R&D and compliance and nutritional values and all of that? Even at an operational level, it's very hard to change productions for a new
Yeah.
flavor every time. It becomes profitable when I'm doing one flavor at 10,000 times,
Yeah.
rather than doing 10,000 flavors about.
It's easier to optimize.
Exactly.
I would imagine.
But it's a pain we're willing to take. That is number one. We're willing to take the pain and innovate. Secondly, what we're trying to do is we're building a community around the brand.
Okay.
We have a lot of brands in the market that might do chocolates, but I don't see anyone building a community. Around
Define community.
community in the sense, what I'm trying to do is I'm getting real time feedback on some of the flavors that people want.
Okay.
Even this Parle-G actually was something that someone had commented and DM me. I would like to see that, and that got me thinking. So I'm trying to build flavors. There are people that constantly reach out to us saying that, this batch we felt that the filling was a little less. And I agree, it might have been. You know why? Because we're completely handmade and artisanal. So there might be a human error here and there.
Yeah.
So
you have no machines. Everything is.
at the moment, no. We're planning to automate some aspect, but of course, the essence lies in our artisanal quality. So we
Wow.
want to retain as much as possible.
Handmade love.
Absolutely. So we reach out to people, we hear people's comments, whatever feedback they have, whatever they want to see, we try to implement that as much as possible. And again, now we want to set out, let's say, a tasting session where we ask people who are following us to come down once a week, taste out our new flavors before everyone else does. So we are, even for events, we launched our pastries and cakes and all of that at Taste of Dubai, an event
I
we
was
did.
just about to mention
Yeah.
that. Like I saw you guys were doing pretty well. You guys were doing pretty well there.
We were busy. Yeah, we were glad to be busy. But we didn't want to just launch a product out there. What we wanted was we want to get real-time feedback of people who came there. And a lot of people gave us a lot of good comments. And we implemented that. And now that's how we are slowly doing a soft launch.
Wow.
So that is, I know there's so much more you can do as a
Yeah.
community. But I believe we're fairly doing it decently. We're willing to hear out people. And like I said, it's a pain, but we're happy to take that pain.
On a aspect of business, You mentioned you're basically going to Taste of Dubai. You could call it like an exhibition in the food and beverage sector.
Yeah.
How does this affect your business? I mean, did it make a drastic change, one in the sense of sales and in the sense of feedback, or is there an alternative motive behind doing something like that?
Events and exhibitions is primarily to get a word of mouth out there. You don't tend to make a lot of money for these events.
Okay.
It's mostly marketing and advertising. That's what happens. You're practically buying real estate, a piece of land, to promote your stall and your brand for like 3 days or even a month, depending on where you display. Of course, there might be a couple of inquiries here and there that might get traction and come through. You never know. It takes time. But the sale you make on that day is absolutely negligible. It doesn't add value any way whatsoever. It's basically money you burn.
Okay. So it's more long-term.
Exactly. Like I said, a cumulative series of events.
Yeah.
You do a combination of one event every 2 to 3 months. Will end of the year you tend to have a substantially increased brand value.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you are testing new chocolates and new flavors, do you have to go to the government? I'm not sure how the food and beverage sector works. You have to go to the government and show them
We have to get every product that we sell, we have to get it registered by Dubai municipality. We have to get it by the authorities, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a headache.
It is a headache, but it's quite quick.
Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not. You have the packaging and the nutritional information and all that ready. You upload it on the portal and, 24 to 48 hours, they approve it if it's all good.
That's it.
Yeah, they're quick.
Dubai is fast.
Dubai is super
Dubai
fast.
is super fast.
Yeah.
So I think we've pretty much talked a lot about the facts and the stuff. Let's go more into stories. I would love to hear more. I mean, I imagine you've faced hundreds of stories which you could be, storytelling about Voca. Let's see the top 8 or the top 5, 6 stories which you would say are the top of the top, which might make me go on the floor and start laughing, make me start crying.
One such thing would be, like I said, we're all about doing things quickly. I'm not sure if you have the time for like 5 to 6 stories. I'll just maybe say a couple of them. But like I said, we when we started out, we were completely unaware of this background, right? We're just starting out completely fresh. Every day we're learning as we go. And I think we are doing so much, probably it's also us trying to overcompensate, for not knowing the industry, which has also worked in our favor. So a year back or so, again, I think we had hired this super amazing guy, recently. But what happened was that we thought that he'll come in and he'll do some damage and increase sales and our business will go through the roof. And then what happened was that the guy had come from a very experienced company. Even though he's so experienced, he had come from a well structured company, and ours was effectively a startup. Right?
Yeah.
But what he was used to was getting leads and businesses onto his lap. Now, what happened here in our company is we're aggressive. We go to the people, right? He was not used to that.
I see.
So suddenly there was a complete shift. He felt lost. Even we felt that was not the right fit. But he was an amazing chap. We loved him to death. We had a lot of good laughs. And about 4 months later, he left the company. And what happened was that, I think I had put a video about this as well.
Yeah.
Is that, we didn't know that in the back, he was building a relationship with a lot of people, talking so highly about our company that even after he left, all these people started flooding in when the time came. When the time came, these people came flooding in and they were like, you know what, we want to work with you. Because this guy, even though he had a plethora of experience, he spoke so highly of you. And I'm sure you guys are good because he doesn't talk highly about that to everyone. And you guys were working together. That means you guys must be good.
So at the
end of the day, it kind of worked out, right? And we landed one of our biggest clients. And not just that, it's, I believe so much, in humanity. Like, I love people for a fact. Why? Because when we had landed Emirates, right? It was a very last minute call, very last minute. They were like, we need samples. We gave samples. We were like, okay, this is approved. From next week onwards, do about 50,000 bars. And we're like, what? And we were completely taken aback. And then what happened is, so the process is we need molds to work with, right? To make these chocolates. And these are not like molds you get everywhere. Only certified places have these kind of
Are they
quality
custom
molds.
made?
Not custom made, but you get ready made as well. For this particular job, we had molds available, but these usually come from places like Turkey, and there was no local stock available.
Okay.
And we had a particular timeline to come in a week. We had to give this quantity, like a 5-figure quantity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like about 50,000-60,000
In
bars
a week's time.
a week's time. And we were like shitting bricks, and we didn't have enough molds to do that. We just only had a handful of molds, which meant that, let's say we had probably 20 molds, and that would only mean we'd be able to do 10,000 bars by end of the week, and that's not enough. And this is our first order. What do we do? And the vendor in Turkey said that, what, if I ship it out, it'll take about
time.
4 days, 5 days. And we're like, no, that's time we don't have. The only way, the fastest thing what to do was to fly to Turkey, get the mold, and come back. And
So you flew to Turkey?
no, I didn't, because you need a visa for Turkey.
Oh my
and
God.
that takes a 2 or 3 days delay. Now we are on the hunt to find out people who had visas to Turkey. And then what happened was that my partner's wife's colleague, who we had met once, once, we just asked him, what, we have a situation in Turkey. We need you to fly out in 3 hours. We'll book the flights for you. Can you do this random job? Reach there, go to the airport. From the airport, we'll have a vendor send out the molds. Just grab that, come back in the next flight, which is again 3 to 4 hours later, and get this to us. And without even blinking twice, the man said yes. He said yes, and he went out, flew there, ran, got the mold. He had the next flight. The gate was closing in about 10 minutes. He ran back, made the next flight back to Dubai. In a span of 6 hours, we had the molds we wanted, and we managed our first order to Emirates. And we were like, who the hell does this? Who the hell does this?
It's a gift from God.
Absolutely. It was a gift from God, nothing less. Nothing
Wow.
less. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of the biggest stories I have. And, we were like, why would he do that?
I can see it brings a smile